Hey guys, welcome back to Meta. I think it's episode like 24 or 25, something like that. Finally, we are back. We were back last week. Here we are once again. This time, though, one of my guys who said he'd show up didn't show up. I don't know where Daishi is. But you know what? Mana and Targa are here, and that's a wonderful thing. So, guys, how are you doing, first off? Wow, that's awkward as fuck. You guys are terrible. I wish you guys didn't show up either.
That was so
Oh my
perfect.
god.
I think it was
Okay,
shitty
so
hosting from you.
yeah, I guess it is. I can't ask you guys what's up. It's way too weird of me to do as a host. Let's talk about how overpowered Terran is right now because
Okay.
Daishi has abandoned all of you Terran players out there. It's pretty
It's
fucked up right now, right?
yeah, it's a ridiculous race. Like a foreign Terran won a tournament. That's how ridiculous the race is.
Yeah.
Like,
How many
it's
foreign
never-
Terrans are there? Like 3?
One now, I guess, since Dacia is gone.
Yeah. Man, how ridiculous is Terran right now?
Like it's never supposed to happen. Like the foreign Terrans are so bad, every single one of them. And now Bunny, like Liquid Bunny, what is this? What is this shit? And
Patch Terran.
it's after a patch, yeah. So we know
Yeah.
we know the truth, right?
Patch comes out right on the next tournament. Terran wins.
Yeah. And this is no joke.
This
It's-
is no joke.
Yeah.
It's
David
Blizzard,
Kim.
Look
what
at-
are you doing? I think it's also because of the hats. I think they're very disturbing to other races. When you SCV pool, you don't know how much army there is.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's very hard to count it. I was actually playing a tournament game the other day, and someone did an SCV pull, and I couldn't count his SCVs because of the hat skin. So I
Yeah.
asked for a regame.
Yeah, and I think that's very good. Like you need to know the exact SCV count, so you know
Yeah.
where, how many SCVs you need to snipe before the
Yeah.
turn comes to your natural, for example.
Yeah.
You
Before the
really need to
Vikings
know.
kill all my Colossus, it's
Yeah.
it's serious.
I don't know what Blizzard is thinking. Like we need a nerf.
Ah, God. Well, if Daishi doesn't show up, guys, if there are any really high-level pro Terrans watching and you want to join in, please let us know. We're going to give them a couple more minutes, but then I would love to bring someone on so we can have someone try to feebly defend Terran and their overpoweredness. So I guess let's just start talking about some matchups that don't have anything to do with Terran. First off, there's a few little strategy things I did want to talk about, one of which was Protoss versus Zerg right now. I feel like there's been a complete shift at this point, like it was happening for a while, but at least in Korea, I'm not as sure as in the other regions because I don't get to watch quite as much of those, but Phoenix builds are all but gone. Everyone is really opening a lot with oracles. I'm wondering why you guys think that maybe, or if you even agree with that, if you think that Phoenix is still a fantastic opener, or are these oracle builds actually better maybe just in this meta? What do you guys think about that?
We've been playing Phoenix builds since Wings of Liberty, and Zerg started to make more queens or sports in a better position, as well as they figured out what follow-ups there can be for Phoenixes. Like there could be a third base, there could be maybe like an 8 gate, something like that, and they know basically everything. And they even started to hide like Overlord somewhere in the map to make an Overseer, and then the scout at the potential timing of an attack of a Protoss. So the Phoenix build has been just figured out, and you get to basically the same amount of damage done with a one Oracle, which means like you don't sacrifice that much gas or minerals to build an Oracle, rather than like 4 or 5 Phoenixes. And you get a lot of scouting as well. You get as well the detection to deny creep with one Oracle, and you also get a easier third base. And usually when you make a Phoenixes, the standard follow-up is to make Colossus or Blink or like triple Targa, stuff like that. And you get a rather later third with that. So with one Oracle, you just get a faster third. And the only thing is, like, the Zerg finally started to make Mutalisks. Like, even versus 5 Phoenixes, they started to make, like, links with upgrades and Corruptors and Queens, for example. We saw that, I think, from
True.
Su, or True. Oh, yeah, True. From True, yeah, in GSL. And that worked very, very well against Zest. So I think that's just what Zerg started to do well and try to completely counter the follow-up for the Phoenixes. I think that's what happened. I don't know if you agree, Targa.
Pretty much. You get it's easier to take a fast third base, I think, with Oracle builds. But the thing is, like, if you go Phoenix, you can. I think it's easier to do timing attacks with like +1 zealots if you go Forge expand. Like, it can always surprise a Zerg. And also, if you just want to sit back and do nothing for the whole game, I think Phoenix is like super safe, even more so than Oracle builds. Because if you go Oracle and Zerg decides to do like some like early links for no reason, it's much easier to cancel the fast third base. Whereas if Protoss goes for Phoenix builds, he won't take that third base. But it's like a lot of metagaming, I think. And some situations and some maps, I still think Phoenix can be viable. Um, like especially on Catalina, where the rush distance is very low. Like if you decide to do +1 solids behind it, take a third base, I think that's still a viable opener. But if you get away, or if you do an Oracle build and you take the third base and everything's safe, that's just a much more greedy opener. You can do Blink Stalkers behind it, kill the creep. So I wouldn't say Phoenixes are dead, but Oracle builds is just like the kind of like the current metagame. But I still think that Phoenix will come back eventually.
And it's not like only Phoenixes that are gone. Like I've been talking to Stardust and Patience at I think it was DreamHack. Yeah, DreamHack Valencia, and they were saying that Colossus are pretty much gone, like from the early stages in PvZ, because you cannot make Colossus and Blink at the same time, because Zerg started to do a lot of cool timing attacks with Corruptors, for example, to snipe the Colossus when you don't have enough anti-air. So
you don't see the Immortal Olin as much anymore because of the new maps.
I mean, you know, like I saw the last game, MC versus Saxtree on Overgrowth, and like, okay, well, he got completely crushed, right? And then MC still make it look so damn close, and I never know how MC does that. And whenever I try an Immortal in, and like Zerg doesn't even disturb me at all, like I played my perfect game with Immortal in, I get crushed anyway. I really suck at Immortal in.
Yeah, but did you see Hyun against MC on Nimbus?
Yeah, it was crushed as well. Hyun did very well, yeah.
So it's quite interesting. I like at the moment. I think that like the only viable choices are like DT, Blinkstalker, and you have to get really lucky. So Protoss are kind of forced to just sit and just try to defend, get super death ball, and never attack.
Yeah, or like a very quick third with this one Oracle build into like let's say 10 gateways with +2 and Blink, like with a that's like many stalkers and sentries.
I don't think that should work. It's only like it only works against like super greedy Zergs.
I mean, you don't have to push. Like it's like the standard.
You kill creep and then you just get some Colossus or whatever counters the Zerg. And like with the current metagame, it kind of forces the Zerg to go like swarm host on most maps. And right now, swarm hosts aren't really good against Protoss on the current maps. So it's I think at least that playing Zerg against Protoss it's pretty hard unless you want to go from Protoss.
Why do you think Swarmhosts are not good on this map? I think like on Nimbus, for example, I think this is the best map for Swarmhosts.
I think it's way too easy for Protoss to just move around, take new bases.
I don't agree. Let's have a discussion here.
Okay.
You know, I've been talking to Snut.
Nimbus is a very good Swarmhost map though. I think Catalina is a bit harder on some positions. What are the other maps? Deadwing, Swarmhost can work, but it's still very hard.
But I think Deadwing is better. Like
it's much better if it's cross position, then Swarmhosts are insane. If it's what's it called, vertical positions, then it's really hard to get out enough Swarmhosts to actually do anything. Because you have to be on a very low drone count for the whole time just to be safe. What other maps? Foxtrot. I don't think Swarmhosts are good there.
Yeah, like you have like 3 pathways there, but they're all very narrow, so it's hard to maneuver around as a Protoss as well.
Yeah, but you can just force field. Like if you mess up your force field, you go back and you try again. It's like, not that hard.
You can say I forced it, but you can always abduct stuff. Like there's a lot of like ramps where you cannot really have the High Templars in the right position.
Like right now, I'm talking about the mid game. In late game, it's just gonna be about Tempest and High Templars. So then the game like shifts really. Also, I think the new maps, it's quite easy for Protoss to take bases, a lot of bases.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, they're very big maps.
For Zerg, but I feel like it's easier for Protoss to stop the bases just because they have War Prisms.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like the maps are really big, And what I really like about the maps is, as I said, they're big because in the previous map pool, I think it was, what was the previous map pool, like heavy rain? No, wait, it was, well, anyway, like the heavy rain map pool, whatever. It was rather small, so
Yeah,
it's a lot of all-ins.
yeah.
So in this map pool, like we will see a lot of macro games and so on, which I really like. But what do you think about Foxtrot labs? Like in the early stages, like the, at least for as a Protoss, I feel it's very hard to take the natural because it's so wide open, and the photon overcharge doesn't really cover the wall if you want to wall in.
The natural, you mean against cheeses and stuff?
Yes, yes.
Oh, I haven't played that map that much, but I think there are some timings Zerg can do, which will be very strong against Protoss, and that like forces Protoss to play super safe or all any. But if Protoss survives, I think the map goes kind of in favor for them. But yeah, like Ling Roach timings or Ling Roach Hydra, if you want to go hit like a mid game timing, it can be very strong. And also, it's a bit hard for Protoss to defend. Like, if you kill all the rocks early on, they have to wall in everywhere. And I'm guessing that has to be very annoying for the Protoss players.
Yeah, like as soon as you have like Colossus with range, then it's not a problem. But by then you have basically, let's say, Hydras with the range, which is the same range as Stalker. So
Yeah.
I cannot really punish you for trying to kill my wall.
Exactly.
Okay.
Wow. I feel like I just watched like a rap battle where you guys became friends at the end. That was pretty awesome. Okay, so we did start that awesome little talk out with the Oracle versus Phoenix situation. There was one thing that you said in the beginning, Targa, that I just wanted to jump back to real quick, is that you think that Phoenixes will rotate back into being strong in the metagame. What needs to happen for that to occur? What types of changes do you see happening before people are like, oh, I'm kind of sick of the Oracle, it's time to go back to more Phoenix heavy openings like we had several months ago?
I think eventually Zergs will, like some Zergs might do like a variation of the Tefal build, but like with faster lings, so you cancel the third base, and then you'll keep Protoss on 2 base with very limited tech. You'll get at lings and hydras, and Protoss will be forced to go fast Colossus, I assume. Also, like it's quite different. Like for the past few months, we haven't really seen much of players like Velmu. Like he likes to do like Phoenix Zealot timings, and I don't think Oracle Zealot timings are that strong because it just feels like it's much easier to spot it, because the Overlords obviously don't die, which is quite a huge thing, and yeah, so it's just gonna have to be the metagame changing. Also, I think the maps right now are very good for Oracle builds because you feel somewhat safe to taking the fast third base, and if the maps changes, so it's gonna be harder for Protoss to do that, then they might do Phoenix builds again and just do a much later third base. Also, and I'm gonna say it again, like there are so many timings you can do with Phoenix, whereas it's much harder with the Oracles. At least that's my opinion.
Like
Yeah.
what kind of timings you say? Because I feel like there's not that many, and they're not
There's a
that
lot
strong.
there's a lot of old builds that I think like players like MC will drag those builds back again. I think even some of the Koreans like Classic might do it. So you have like the Phoenix Colossus all in, which is something that really shouldn't work, but there's always a possibility that it works. And then if they do it enough, the metagame will switch again, I think.
Yeah. What about the Oracle timing that we saw popping up? I believe at DreamHack Valencia, if I recall correctly, and a couple times in GSL as well, the Oracle plus 5 gates or Oracle plus 6 gates. I saw both variations. Whatever happened to that? Because I haven't really seen that since, I saw like it a few times over the course of 2 weeks, and then it feels like it disappeared. Is it just not any good? Like people caught on too quickly, or what?
Yeah, I think people caught on. It shouldn't be a very good build because it's so easy to scout. You can have lings at the third base, like one ling there, one ling outside the Protoss base, and you just keep dodging the Mothership core. And yeah, then you'll pretty much figure out that you need to make links and roaches to stop that timing. And that build is also like something that really only works against super greedy Zergs that don't really scout, like full YOLO Zergs. And I've seen some Zergs lately, they make, like some Zergs have started making like random unit timings to stop the all-ins or like to up the variation of builds so they're not as predictable. And by doing that, you stop a lot of timings for Protoss, and you can also put on some damage if they go for a third base. So, like, playing greedy and somewhat safe is just a much better option for Protoss at the moment.
But with that, I mean, comes more predictability. Is this point in the metagame somewhere where Zergs just haven't figured out exactly how to punish some of these kind of greedy third Oracle builds, or are they actually safe enough?
I don't think they're that safe, because if you make links at a certain timing, you can deny the third base. And if you don't make too many drones behind that, you'll stop the eventual timing from Protoss. So that should be an easy hold, at least I think so. I'm not sure what Mono thinks.
I've seen MC, I think on his stream or in some tournament game recently, that he made Oracle and with 4 gates and with a rather later Forge. And the Zerg started to make units because he thought it's an attack. But then he just made like Zealots, Sentries, and then a third, so it's like a safer variation of that build, which I think could be a standard thing, as you said, because it's rather easy with making early links and then trying to deny that third before the wall-in is ready, as well as the photon overcharged. So I think that could be the standard.
Yeah, that's true as well. I mean, the Oracle is it's a really sick opening at the moment, at least. So it's gonna be here for a while, I think.
Yeah, and also for the timing with the 5-6 gates, it's now immortal then. Like if it's scouted, it's rather going to be easy to defend as a Zerg. But if it's not scouted and then like the first warp in is not scouted as well, the Zerg is pretty much dead because the oracles will deal with the links and the stalkers or whatever else you want to warp in will deal with the rest of the army as well as the time warp with the mothership core. But yeah, if it's scouted, it's not that good.
Okay. You know, speaking of which, I'm just wondering, you know, I know we touched on this on Meta last week, but it's been another week of everyone playing under this new patch. How has the Mothership core change impacted PvZ exactly? Like, Targa, are you seeing less or less effective all-ins? Do you actually notice the difference of time warps in battles, or is it still just basically as good?
I still think it's very good. It's not as ridiculous as it was before, but yeah, I think it's good. Like you cast the time warp, the Zerg has to move back. You can force field some units. Right now, I think it's working as intended. 30 seconds was way too much. 10 seconds, it's still a lot. Like you will always force the Zerg to do something about it. Like the Zerg can't sit in the time warp. So it's either you go back or you go forward, and everything will be force fielded. So it's still very strong. I don't think any Protosses, like the Protoss players won't, like, how should I say it? Like they're not gonna think twice about doing a Blinkstalker all-in because of the Mothership core, or doing an Immortal all-in because of the Mothership core. Like those builds were strong even before the Mothership core even existed. And I mean, you can still save the time warp and do a recall instead if you want to do that. It's just such a strong unit, and I don't think this affected anything, to be honest.
Okay. Just slightly less ridiculous. Would you agree with that, Mon?
I would say, yeah, time warp is a very strong ability now. As it's decreased the time of duration, it's like the engagement starts and it lasts for around 10-12 seconds, so the time warp will be done by then. And when it was 30 seconds, it's more about like the Zerg retreating from the battle or the reinforcements coming into the battle, so that was the biggest effect. And now it's gone, so you have to think about when do you want to put the time warp for the retreat of the Zerg or during the battle. Because if you put 2 timers in the battle, then the reinforcements will be much quicker. So you have to think about it. But overall, yeah, I think it's a very strong ability. But it also affected PvP quite a bit because when you had like a fight with Colossus, you can time warp the Colossus and like try to maneuver around the army to flank it. And now because the time warp is very quick in disappearing, and so the Colossus will basically run away before they get killed. So, but still, it's still a very new and fresh patch, so we need to figure out how it's going to be.
Would you say that that would make Colossus a little bit stronger in PvP now? I mean, that seems
Yeah,
pretty obvious, right?
yeah,
And
actually, yes,
does
because I've been playing PvP a little bit in the ladder,
Mhm.
and like I would say 80%. Of course, I don't have like exact statistics, like 80% of my opponents, but like a lot of the players started to make Colossus very quick, and it's been working very well. So I would say yeah, it makes Colossus a little bit stronger.
Now let's. I mean, this is kind of going out on a limb because obviously, like, you can open up with anything in PvP and go into Colossus. Technically, like, it's possible, but blink openers are a little bit better. Go into that, and if that means that Colossus are a bit better now, a little bit stronger than Immortal Archon Zealot, people may want to open blink a little bit more. Is there any possibility we're going to see robo openings come back like we saw in Wings of Liberty, or is that still a little bit too crappy against Stargate type builds?
I've been actually experimenting a little bit on my stream with making a robo before even my expansion in PvP, like 1 gate robo to make a quick observer to see what my opponent is doing. But then my opponent went for like, let's say, economic blink build with 3 gates and rather quick expansion as well. And I was behind because I was afraid he's going to like blink here, blink there, and try to pick up some units. So I don't think robo builds are that good before expansion.
Yeah.
And Stargate is still very, very sick. I have actually a lot of trouble playing against Phoenix openings because like the only
Mm.
counter to to Phoenix openings, like either you start with a blink or you start Phoenixes yourself, and then it gets very,
Yeah.
very awkward. So I think Phoenix's openings are like very, very strong, but they have the downsides as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of a cool little part. I didn't really think about that, about the Colossus skin better, but definitely have to keep an eye on that for future meta discussion. Thanks for that. Actually, something I did write down that I wanted to ask you about, Targa, is I think you're like really smart about ZVZ, is for ZVZ, like the new late game, I haven't been seeing swarm hosts really. You know, since this new change where you can't abduct broodlords,
Yeah.
I've seen more broodlords in late game Korean ZVZs at least. Is this something that you've noticed as well, or are swarm hosts still reasonable, or what do you think?
To be honest, I don't think Stormos were ever reasonable. It was it worked on like 2 maps maybe, Heavy Rain and what was the
King
other map?
Sejong?
No, not King Sejong. Like,
Stefano disagrees.
well, yes, obviously Stefano disagrees, but he wasn't playing against top Zergs in CVC. Like any Zerg, like once you realize that your opponent is going for Swarm Host, you just keep pushing, and like there's no chance that he's gonna hold, especially if you have a decent economy behind it. It was like late game Swarm Host. It was like a gimmicky thing to do. Like if you realized that you were losing the game, you could go for a draw or a tie. Right now, that's like just making Swarm Host, like mass Swarm Host like that. It's pretty much dead. I still think some players will try to make a couple of Swarm Hosts. They're still a very good unit. But like the defensive players that want to go for like a death ball, they will make Broodlords, Infestors, Corruptors, have a ton of spines and spores everywhere. There are even some players that are doing like a Muta into Broodlord type of thing with like a 5 to 6 Broodlords, and you try to do some damage with that. But the thing is, I still think Roach, Hydra, and Fester, it's just gonna wreck that army. Because you get the Hydras under the Broodlords, they die super, super fast. Everything gets fungled, or you'd use infested Terrans everywhere. So it's all about army control and that point of the game. But I still think that we will see roaches every game. Maybe a couple of players will go for the Muta Broodlord thing, but the main thing will be just mass roaches. Because the instant the other player like just masses up spines and spores everywhere, the other Zerg will realize it and he wants to take a fight before the tech hits in. So if the opponent is good at scouting, he's just gonna have overseers going into the army constantly, changelings and stuff like that. So if he sees you're teching to Broodlords or Ultras, and it's somewhat of an even game, he's gonna attack you. So mass Roach or Roach, Hydra, and Fester is still the way to go. Maybe it will change in the future. Like some players try to do like a Roach Broodlord. I think that's a bit gimmicky too. Like it might work a couple of times, but then you realize what you should have done differently. And yeah, like you see a lot of Koreans still, they go for gasless openings in CVC to get out upgrades for roaches and stuff like that. So also another thing with Broodlords, you can't sit and defend and wait for a tie. You have to kind of attack with it if you want to win. And if you attack with a very immobile army, the other Zerg can still base trade and win the game. So I think the Viper change was very, very good. It prohibits the players that wanted to go for a tie with Swarmhost, but it doesn't change the late game. The late game will still be Roach, Hydra, and Fester, I think.
Okay.
And maybe Vipers.
I think that, yeah, I want to bring up that point in just a second, but I want to say first, I think the Koreans basically agree with you on that. Like, I would say 90% plus of ZVZs in Korea that go into the mid or late mid or even early late game are all just pure Roach until they, you know, pop out a few other, like, infestors. But
there's
actually...
sorry, there's actually a lot of skill involved with like just doing mass roach. It requires so much multitasking, positioning, and so on. So it's an easy way for a good player to do to win the game.
Yeah, it's actually hilarious to watch when both players are on 3 bases taking their fourths, and then there's burrow movement all over the map at once, and seeing who can keep up with it and who can't. But over the last, like, I guess, month and a half, I've seen a few more players mixing in Vipers into that late game, like pretty aggressively going for a few Vipers just to use Blinding Cloud to really own up Roach Hydra engagements. What do you think about that exactly?
It's pretty cool. Like if you fungal and then you land the Blinding Cloud as well. It's like, it's very cool. But there was one thing that I forgot to mention. Snoot's CVC. He just makes roaches and banelings, and that pretty much kills everything. I don't know how much you've been watching like people stream recently, like after IM Shenzhen, where Snoot did the roach baneling against Jaedong. Like Jaedong was doing it a bit on ladders, Solar was doing it when he was streaming. I think I don't know if there are any CVCs coming up in GSL or Pro League, but most likely you will see roach baneling because that also kills every timing. Like if you go for tech and you have roach baneling, it's super hard to hold the roach baneling on pretty much every map. I think the easiest map to stop it is King Sejong, but almost every other map it's pretty much impossible to stop the roach baneling. So it might be roach baneling against roach baneling.
That's actually quite interesting. Can't wait to see that. Well, there are some. I think there's like one really good ZVZ in the Pro League finals, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. Let's jump over and talk a little bit about PVT here with you, Mana. This is kind of like a weak point to discuss because I don't think the matchup has really changed that much due to the patch or anything. But some top Korean pros, supposedly, you know, were saying, some guys were talking about on meta last week that TVP is actually like okay right now. It's actually very playable even in the late game. Would you tend to agree with this? I know that you're the Protoss player and probably people want to hear this from a Terran, but Daishi isn't here, so what do you think about the late game of PVT? Or is it still like kind of easy for you, or was it ever easy for you? Do you think Terrans are actually on even footing at this moment, or what?
You know, there are not too many, in Europe at least, Terrans who know exactly how to play late game PvT. The only one I can think of that actually knows is Happy, and he's doing very well in late game because he goes for late game basically every single TVP. He is not aggressive at all. And a lot of Terrans are like too eager to fight sometimes when they don't have the exact good composition, or like the ghost count is too low to fight against the Protoss army, or the Viking count is too low. Overall, the matchup I find pretty fun to play with, especially because of the new maps. They are very big, so there's not like SCV pool every single game, which is not really fun. I didn't have much trouble recently with PvT. I've been playing basically PvT exclusively for a couple of days on ladder all the time, and I got to learn a lot of it. And I cannot, like, from the Terran's perspective, a lot of them, they started to know exactly the positioning of Protoss army in the early middle game, so they know where to drop or where to try to cancel the third. So then the Protoss try to defend the positions that they have to defend exactly. For example, the rather quick third when making Colossus, for example. And I think it's a cool positioning game so far. For the late game, as I said, there's not too many Terrans who know exactly how to play it, but overall, I never had it easy in late game, PvT at least.
Okay, I can actually agree with that a lot. A lot of the times when people are whining, you know, I'll be casting like GSL or something, and Terran's like, "Oh, look at that imbalance," and it's like, well, I mean, the guy is like overdropping. Like this guy just doesn't know how to play the late game. This guy's a mid game Terran, so I do have to agree with your
we
points
have to
there.
keep in mind that, like in the super late game, where a single storm landed in the center of the Terran army can basically change the entire battle, while one EMP can change the battle, but it's not that good as a storm.
Yeah.
Like, of course, you can EMP like 3 high templars with one EMP, but you are not supposed to have all high templars in like one group where the EMP would hit. But on the other hand, you're not supposed to have one army like clumped up to one storm kill your army.
There's definitely faults on both sides there. One last quick thing that I have written down about actual like the gameplay stuff before we hit some of this tournament talk. TVZ right now for you, Targa. You know, you've gotten to play on this new patch for a while. It's basically the old Widowmine is back, and now, you know, it's the Thor change. Obviously, instead of Terrans always having to watch out for Mutas incoming, now Mutas always have to watch out for Thors incoming, I guess. How has this changed your ZVT experience? Is it a lot harder? Are you having to switch up your strategies more often? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so it's not really harder because recently, like, I of course watched the Snoots games, so I've been playing around with the Swarmost. And I also pretty much figured out how to do that just as good as him. But my biggest worry is that, like the mine, it doesn't really do much. For a good player, a good Zerg, he will just have to take better fights. Like you have to set up flanks if it's a big engagement, and just micro better. Like it kind of fucks things up for the worst players. Like they're just gonna die to ridiculous mine hits. Another thing which I don't like is the Tor change. They made the game easier once again. I really wish they did like they made the game harder, because then we would obviously be able to see more cool stuff. Most of the good Terrans in Europe, at least, also the top Korean Terrans, they're already target firing with the Thors to kill the mutas and so on. So it makes the game easier for them, makes the game easier for worse players, makes the game much harder for worse Zergs. So they'll like Diamond, Master, low GM players. They're gonna have a really hard time against Terrans. Also, the patch, as I said earlier, like Snoot changed his playstyle once again with the Swarmost. I'm not sure how well that style is gonna work in the long run, but right now it's a really good counter to the innovation train, and I was playing around with it a bit yesterday and on Sunday while I was streaming. I hit some problems doing it, but as long as I have static defense everywhere, there's nothing really the Terran can do besides going for tanks. And once the tanks are out, you go for Viper Ultras. So the TVC metagame might change the upcoming weeks, and it's going to be very interesting because I think the innovation train is dead, or it should be dead at least on almost every map, and especially
Has
on
it been that quick of
Overgrowth.
that quick of a change for the matchup?
No, because I think most Zergs they don't play that playstyle, but they're gonna realize sooner or later they will realize that you have to go, or that you should go Swarmost. Also, the potential threat of Swarmost might change some Terrans' minds of doing the good old train, and I think maybe some Terrans will just go pure mech, especially if the map allows you to go mech. And yeah, it's just going to be very interesting to see. I still wish the Koreans would play more around with Swarmost. I think they're very stubborn and maybe not as smart as players like Snoot. So yeah, it's gonna be very, very cool to see how things change.
Yeah, I would love to see the Koreans actually try out that style. I've been waiting for someone to start using Stormhost against Bio. It's about time. That unit is so good. You know what? Actually, let's just talk about this real quick. Speaking of which, you guys hit on it a little bit before about Stormhosts in PvZ, and you were saying Targa and actually Mana as well. Nimbus is the map that you guys think is pretty good for it, but the other new ones, not so much.
Well, you still have the old maps. Overgrowth,
Yeah.
very good. King Sejong, it's very good if you manage to get like aggressive with the Stormhost. Deadwing, if it's cross, it can be good. If it's vertical, it's super, super hard because you have to stay on a very low drone count, as I said. Foxtrot, it should be almost impossible. At least I think so. What other... Did I forget any of the new maps?
No, that's...
No.
And we already talked about Nimbus, so...
Yeah, so Swarmhost still work against Protoss. But I was playing around a bit with other people's style. Like I was doing the Sue style with Ling, Queen, Corruptor and stuff. It's very cool to get like familiar with other playstyles because I think at least I was getting way too predictable with my playstyle with the Swarmhost and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's cool that Stormhost is not anymore basically like the way to go in CVP, because like on heavy rain, for example, times of heavy rain, it was basically Stormhost all the time, every single map and so on, and like camp all the time, which was very, very boring. And now, as you said, like the Link Corruptor Queen style, which is fine. A lot of Muta switches or Muta Corruptor, like very late game as well, which is cool with a lot of bases. PvZ is very much not boring when it comes to playstyles. There's like Protoss has a lot of choices to make, like free Stargates or Colossus or Blink Stalkers and so on, or combining all of it together. Zerg as well, like Link Ultra, Swarmhost, maybe Roach Hydra into Viper, which is not very good in the super late game, but you can make it in the mid game. So it's a cool matchup to play. And about the Swarmhost, yeah, I think Nimbus is the best map. Well, King Sejong, I think it's the best map overall.
No. Overgrowth.
You think Overgrowth?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I don't think so, because like you get at least 4 bases as a Protoss on Overgrowth, while on King Sejong Station.
I think it's easier to get bases on King Sejong because it's at least I think it's hard to defend your fort base. Like you have to decide: am I going to take the right side or the left side of the map?
Yeah, I feel for Zerg as a defender, I think yeah, I have to agree with you. But as a Protoss, as a defender, for me, at least personally, it's easier on Overgrowth to take 4 bases. And I much rather have 4 bases on Overgrowth and then try to have a little bit harder time taking my 5th or 6th, or rather have the problem of taking my 4th.
You'll never get a 5th base on Overgrowth. Like
maybe
you can take the gold base, but there's gonna be locusts spawning every second.
Yeah, it's very similar with King Sejong Station as well. When you sit with the Swarmhouse on the middle, in the middle base, they basically reach the 4th at the right side or the left side as well. So it's pretty hard. At least for me, King Sejong is better than Overgrowth, but both maps are pretty good for it as well.
Yeah, I fully agree.
Cool. Well, that's some really good strategy talk from you guys. You guys are actually killing it. Who needs Daishi? Let's talk about some of these tournaments that have been going on, and this one topic that's been kind of a hot topic that I think obviously affects you guys really quite heavily. Inviting players to WCS point tournaments. This has been a little bit of a talk. I know Total Biscuit was tweeting, as I said, and I wonder what your guys' thoughts are. Like, should some of these bigger WCS point tournaments have invites? And I would love to hear what you think and why. I
don't think so at all. Because the biggest issue at the moment is that the same players are getting invited to every tournament. It's always MC, Hyun, Teja, and so on. And obviously they get a ton more points than like the Kespa Koreans and so on. Like we also have to say, like the end goal of the WCS points is BlizzCon. BlizzCon obviously wants the 16 best players in the world. Right now, it's pretty much safe to say that at least 10 of those players are playing in Proleague, And you have players like Teja, Snoot, maybe Bunny, kind of MC, Hyun, Jaedong. Like those guys are fighting for like the rest of the slots. When you're inviting the same players over and over again, they're either gonna take someone else's spot who's not getting invited to those tournaments, or they're gonna get like a super ridiculous seed. Like at the moment, I'm guessing that it's like MC or Hyun that have the first seed, so they might.
I think it's MC
Easter
right
tournament. Now. Yeah, I think it's just ridiculously stupid. The WCS points were set in place to have like a system where you work yourself to BlizzCon if you're good, and then you have like WCS Europe, NA Korea. I even think that having it in like tournaments like DreamHack is a bit stupid. I would much rather prefer that it was only in like these super open tournaments where Blizzard pays for you to go to Cologne or LA. That would be much more interesting because I think you can have like a much cooler storyline than if there's like a player. Oh, he got invited to some easy tournaments, and he won those tournaments. So yeah, he's here. He didn't do shit in WCS, but yeah, he still made it.
Well, just counter one point that you said that it seems kind of obvious that BlizzCon is meant when the WCS point system is meant for the top 16 players of the world, and I don't think that that's the case. I don't know. It's hard to like really put your finger, in my opinion, on exactly what the WCS point system is trying to get there, because it can't be just the top 16 players, because that would be, just the way it's spread out.
Yeah,
like
of course.
North
Like
America's,
yeah, I'm guessing it's not going to be the top 16, but it's going to be the best players that play in each region.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you kind of get that at the moment, but I still think that it's very stupid that a tournament where 9 players are invited, and it's the same players that get invited to every tournament, and there's 3 slots for open qualifiers, I guess. There's 12 players. There's a shit ton of points because they have a huge prize pool. Also, and all you had to do was advance from a group where there were 3 players, and in most groups there was a player that was a lot worse than the others, so it was quite easy to advance and get some easy points.
Tell that to Stardust.
Oh, yeah. But I feel like Stardust, like sometimes he doesn't take the tournament serious. I don't know if you get the same thing.
No, I'm professional in every single tournament, man.
Yeah, I know you are professional, but maybe Stardust is not.
Yeah, but about the points, I think we have to defend the tournaments. As much as I agree from the player's perspective, for me, it's like not fair to others get invited and it's not me, especially the G3, which gave a lot of points, basically for free for a lot of players. But we have to defend the tournaments by saying that the players that got invited, they deserve to be invited. They're very good.
Yeah, of course. But I wish it was if there's WCS points, it should be a completely open tournament.
Yes, and I have to agree with that.
Yeah, and there's gonna be like a huge problem, or not maybe a problem. Maybe it's gonna be entertaining. But if you guys saw who was invited to IM Toronto, which is gonna be one of the last tournaments before BlizzCon, it's the same players over again. Also, there's like another thing which is going to be ridiculous, like DreamHack Moscow, DreamHack Stockholm, I guess, as well. There's going to be so many good players fighting for just WCS points. And maybe it's interesting, but I think it's kind of like a waste of money and time.
MC was invited, right, for Toronto, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, MC, Hyun, Ija, and
so
one more.
We look at the person who is ranked number 1 in WCS points, and he doesn't give a single fuck about WCS points now because he's sure to be at BlizzCon. So he's going there only for money, and he's basically stealing a slot for a person who really needs these WCS points. And as much as I love MC because he's a great guy, there's a person who really needs WCS points to get to the BlizzCon, and well, he deserves the invite surely, but maybe another spot for qualifiers would be better than just invites.
Yeah, I think so.
On pure fairness' sake, I pretty much agree with you guys that it has to be open for WCS points. But there's some like kind of invitey spots that I think are also important as well. For instance, like what about the Australian seed that goes into WCS NA each time? Because they're so far away. Like they can't. It doesn't matter how many open tournaments there are. They just, I mean, to get a sponsor to fly you from Australia, that's ridiculous money. You guys can go to like 4 tournaments for the same price. So, yeah. I mean, where do we draw the line? Where are seeds appropriate and where are they not?
That's quite hard to say. I really like that Australians and Chinese players are getting a slot. Actually, they're probably getting like 5 slots, like 2 Australian, 3 Chinese.
Something like that.
Yeah, but they're getting a slot into Challenger. They're not getting a slot into Premier. So I think that's a very good thing to have for their scene, so the scene doesn't completely die out. And like WCS, America, Europe, there's not that many issues with qualifiers and so on, or players being invited, because in reality nobody was invited. Like at the start of the season there were 8 invites, but those guys were the top 8 from last season or from the year before. So I think that there's no real issues with inviting Australians, Taiwanese, Chinese players to Challenger.
Okay, and now here's where I like what you're saying, and I definitely do agree with that. I just wanted to ask that question, but I guess the other question, the one that is probably more to blame for why we're watching players like MC get invited and just win like 1 billion points this year in all of these different events, is there needs to be a certain amount of viewership at events as well. And this is one way that these tournaments, they have to like hedge in some ways and make sure that they have enough high-end, like obviously MC is going to pull a bunch of views. Everyone wants to watch MC play. So what do you guys think about that balance? Because that's where it gets a little bit wishy-washy, a little bit iffy. It's like, oh, like, yeah, we do need a certain amount of viewers, but isn't this like making this a little bit less legitimate that, MC never has to qualify, even though he probably would still?
Yeah, I'm not saying that inviting MC and those guys to IEM is a bad thing. I think it's really cool. The tournament is going to be awesome. My issue is that they give WCS points. So I would much rather have it so that the IEM doesn't give out WCS points. I think the only player that maybe wouldn't have come is SOS. All the others would have been there easily. And I think even SOS, like, he realizes that it's that he should be guaranteed a good amount of money and also a qualifier slot for Katowice if that happens again. So overall, I just think it's stupid that tournaments like IEM, Home Story, G3 gets a WCS point. Because I still like those tournaments. Obviously, I watch all of it. And it's for me, it's of course entertaining to watch the best players play. And also the entertaining players like MC, who's an awesome guy. And yeah, so as I said, I would much rather have it so they didn't give out points.
Okay, and I'm like forming a really cool question. Would you agree with this, Mana? Like what he's saying here?
Yeah, I have nothing to add. That's exactly what I would say.
So would you guys cut down WCS tournaments directly, be like, oh yeah, no, still have IM, this is a fantastic tournament, everyone wants to watch IM, but only have completely open tournaments, stuff like DreamHack, have WCS points? Is that something that you'd kind of point towards?
Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't even mind having only WCS.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that either. I think even for DreamHack, because I think the the player list for DreamHack Moscow and Stockholm, it's going to be so ridiculous for the open bracket.
Yeah. But one thing I want to point out, because you guys kind of almost ruined it by saying, yeah, maybe cut it back even just to the WCS main events. Fucked up the question so hard, but I want to ask it. I want to pose it anyways. There's way more tournaments in Europe than anywhere else, including DreamHacks. So wouldn't even that be unfair? Because you guys can go to that so easily living in Poland and Norway, whereas all these great Korean players that are out in Korea that maybe would win this tournament or finish above you guys or other Europeans or whatever, they aren't. There's no invites, but based off of popularity, some of these older players like MC and like Hyun have foreign sponsors that will send them there, whereas these less popular players that live in Korea that may be as good or better than them don't get to fly there. So that's like kind of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it's fair because players like MC and Jan, they're like they have worked hard to get their sponsors and so on. So they really deserve the opportunity to go to tournaments. Also, the players in Korea, they also work hard, but they're not as much of an entertainer or whatever like the others or the European and American Koreans are. And also the Koreans that come to Europe, they take a huge risk. Maybe I'm not sure how much they like it there. I know like MC, he really likes it in Germany.
Why does he like it there?
Yeah, and I think I think Stardust actually they also probably like Switzerland. I'm not too sure though. So and the other Koreans, they also have an opportunity to come here. They just have to take a gamble. Like they probably have some money saved up. They can come to Germany, live in a team house or get a cheap apartment. It's not that expensive, and either try to get the team or get some sponsors or just fly yourself to tournaments and take the risk. So I think every player can do that. But the Koreans obviously much rather prefer to be in Kespa teams and be safe and so on.
Okay.
So yes, I think it's fair.
I agree with everything you're saying. I just want to pose some hard questions. My hard-hitting journalism, you know. Yeah, I basically agree with everything you guys said there. I think it was really well articulated. Okay. I guess let's jump to the next subject. Since we've done in the WCS
maybe
point thing.
One other thing, maybe I would add, it's like when someone is not doing well in WCS, like let's say he's in Premier and he drops out every single time in round of 32, for example, he gets some points, which is cool, but then he can win tournaments like DreamHack, he can win tournaments like IEM, and then still be at BlizzCon because of that. And if we would cut it to only WCS, then only players that do well at WCS, which is basically the most important tournament for that, would get the points, and that would be basically the most fair situation, I think. Even though it's like cutting some opportunities, as you say, to travel to foreign tournaments and so on, but that I wouldn't mind having it that way at all.
Yeah, you know, if you just took like let's say the top players from each region, just using the regional one. The thing is, we have so many like really good top end pro gamers right now that I think. I mean, if you take the top 50 guys and you take any assortment of 16, it's going to be a kick-ass BlizzCon. You know.
Yeah.
So you can't get a bad BlizzCon out of the top 50 guys.
Yeah, the level is very, very, very high in StarCraft now, and the games are very, very entertaining. So yeah, there's not going to be a bad tournament for sure.
Can I add something on WCS?
Yeah, please.
I also have a quite like a quick fix on how to fix the regions. You don't have to region lock it. You force every player to have like 100 to 150 wins every season or every month. I mean, it has to be months because 150 wins is actually like you have to sit down and play a lot of ladder games, and it can't be on a barcode. So then you fix two things: the NA ladder and kind of the European ladder as well. Like they're not as dead anymore, and you get rid of most of the barcodes. And it's such an easy fix. Like Blizzard is probably worried about like how they would handle it, but players and fans would just rat out everyone that didn't get the 150 wins that month.
And they could even have other people play for them because in StarCraft 1 we had these guys that would throw replays through analysis machines and just in 2 fucking seconds they would tell you whether or not someone was playing on the account.
Yeah, and it's such an easy fix. And especially with the NA ladder, which is pretty much dead. Like Destiny tried to revive it, but I'm still guessing it's dead. You would have all these super amazing players like Jaedong and Teja, Polt, Violet, and so on. They would all be forced to play a ton of games on the ladder. It would be super good practice for the players that are a bit under their level. They would improve a ton. The ladder would be alive and well, and I think there would be more opportunities for foreigners to take out the top Koreans. Because there's also another like really big issue with players like Sun that come to Europe. We see Sun maybe one tournament every 3 months, and he's a gimmicky all-in player. We don't know shit about him. Then he comes to a tournament, he destroys the Zergs with new builds or even old builds, and there's no way of preparing for them. And whereas I think it's much easier to prepare for the European players that play in a ton of online cups and so on. But of course, that's their choice. Like you can choose to not play in the. You can choose to do the same thing as Sun, obviously. But Sun has better practice partners. He can get better practice on the Korean ladder.
But
Same thing for MMA.
But what happens, because you say 150 games or wins per month?
Wins.
Wins. But what happens, like
It can be less than that as well, because I think
Yeah.
150 wins is quite a lot if you have to
yeah,
play
it is
tournaments.
a lot, especially when we consider
Maybe
some months
maybe
we have,
just 100 wins a month.
that's fine as well. But still,
Yeah.
like we have a month sometimes where we have 3 events straight, so there's no time to even play ladder for that. Like
I still think, yeah, I know that it's hard, but I still think it's very, very easy to get 100 wins on your main account.
Yeah, something around that. Yeah, I would agree with that. That's fine to revive ladder.
You know what? Even with the 100 wins or 150 wins, that would improve the skills so much because of the Koreans playing there. And then also, more to what you were saying, man, like sometimes you have 3 events. You're losing skill going to 3 events. Like you would actually be better if you skipped one of those probably and stayed home and practiced and stayed up with the metagame and stayed with your grinding rather than, went on airplanes and ate hotel food and,
Yeah.
And so that's, I mean, the skill outside of Korea would definitely, I think, skyrocket that idea. I actually really like that idea. I never heard one quite like
I see
that.
it because MC, Hyun, Yoda first. Everybody's here in Europe. The skill level has increased so much thanks to them, as well as Stardust and Jackji. So I don't know how it is in NA, but in EU, I'm very, very thankful for the Koreans to be here and play with us on the ladder because that helped me so much.
Yeah, but there's also a different thing. Like we are friends with those guys, so we can practice with them. I think for players that are a bit under our level that don't know those guys, they have no chance of practicing with them. Maybe they hit them on ladder sometimes, but to be honest, like the Koreans that are in Europe, they're playing less ladder now. I'm not sure if they're even practicing that much at the moment. Yeah, but it's not necessarily unfair. But like the thing I said, it wouldn't be so sick. It would really, really help like lower level players, and as well like make it harder, obviously, for the Koreans that are just sitting in Korea.
Yeah.
Like since they would be forced to do the same.
I like also not being able to play on barcodes or anything, like having to use your main ID, because I remember
it would make sense to have it as a Smurf as well. Like since it's so easy to figure out who's who.
Yeah.
So Smurf for your real name, but just no barcode.
Yeah. I really do like that because that actually like promotes fun in the community as well. I remember back during StarCraft 1 ladders, like you'd be watching at the end and see like the guys that are, you'd see their ID and you'd see their win amount and their points and be like, oh shit, this guy's doing a push tonight. Like he's got to make it, you know? And that's fun for everyone to just kind of check out and spam
like
refresh.
the TSL ladder or whatever that was.
Yeah,
that was so cool to watch the end of the days. That was cool.
Oh yeah, it was like one of the most fun things, like the amount of F5s and like checking that out and what. Oh my God, now he's in a game right now with White Raw. Oh shit, like.
But we have to keep in mind that it was also like one of the very, very few tournaments in StarCraft 1.
Yeah.
StarCraft 2 we have plenty of them, which is cool.
That's true. That is true. But anyways, I really like your ideas there. I like that idea a lot, Targa, with the increased laddering. I think that would really help out the other regions. Okay. Let's jump down and talk, I guess, about Nation Wars, where you guys were both at. And of course, Nation Wars, for you guys that didn't see it, there's like this awesome review video that you can find for it. Like, it almost brought a tear to my eye, or it was just like, it was pretty cool. A crowdsourced event, of course, like people donated to get this going. Top 4 countries, Mexico, Norway, Poland, and France, in Paris. It looked like a sick crowd, a sick venue. Tell us about it, you guys. You were both there.
I was so sick. Like we knew that it was gonna be filled with people, but we didn't know how enthusiastic they were. Like after Aki all killed Poland, like they were all shouting Aki. It was the sickest thing ever. And I was so happy for him that like he got to show how good he is and so on. It was just it was the best tournament I've ever been to, and I say that with almost a tear in my eye because home story cups are pretty fucking awesome. But this was better.
Yeah, and we have to keep in mind as well, like the French guys, the organization, they tried to do everything they possibly could to help us. Like, do you need anything? Do you need some food? They wanted to order food. They told us everything that we wanted to know, and there were a couple of problems, surely, like
of course,
before the event, but it was also perfect thanks to the crowd. And even though we lost as a Polander, took the 4th place, it was still an event that I will remember for sure. And if it's going to be Nation Wars 3, I really, really, really wish they will make it even in a bigger venue, because more people, it will be even bigger roar, and it was just simply amazing. And as you said, tear in my eye as well, even just thinking about it. It was so great.
Yeah, and they had like some obvious problems that they should have fixed straight away. Like our practice rooms were basically a sauna.
Yeah, it was so hot there.
Yeah, it was fucking horrible. But and sometimes we were like kind of treated like small kids, which is kind of funny because all of us, except for maybe Aki, like we travel every month. We go everywhere alone, so like there's never really a problem. But it's felt so weird being treated like a small kid. Like you can't go alone and go to a restaurant. Someone needs to go with you. And, yeah. Also, there's like the casters. They did such a sick job hyping up the crowd.
Oh yeah.
Because there were some problems with the PC and the internet, and I'm not sure if the viewers actually noticed it. Because the casters were so insane. They went around the crowd asking them, singing songs and shit. So it was really, really awesome, and I hope there will be another Nation Wars, and also maybe this time other countries will take it more seriously, so Norway will actually have to try hard, because this was such an easy event for us, you know.
Screw you, Targa. Screw you.
For future Nation Wars, is this something that you guys think should just stay in Europe or go global? Like, obviously, if there's a Team Korea, you'd be like, well, the Koreans are kind of the best, but how do you ever choose who? And are they supposed to play on the European server? Like, or is this something that's better kept maybe a little bit smaller, just use like the nations of Europe, or just maybe the rule, it's all played on the EU server or something like that? What do you guys think in regards to that?
We already know that Korea is the best. There's no need to prove it. I think the way they did it now, it's cool. Like the winner gets to play versus Korea. But for me personally, I would love to play versus Korea, even if it's round 1 of Nation Wars, because then the hype, if the country wins, is great. It's awesome, completely awesome. But it's very unlikely, of course. But yeah, I wouldn't mind practice like that. But we know Korea is the best.
Yeah, we're gonna play a show match against Korea. I'm not sure when it is, because there are some problems with the date at the moment, but they're gonna figure it out eventually and release the info. But yeah, the Korean team is not the strongest. Obviously, it's MC, Life, and Jaedong. I think if it was like the 3 top Protoss players, it would have been impossible to win. But now it's actually doable for us. So we're gonna prepare a ton for this, as we did for the other countries, and I think it's gonna be close. And of course, I'm pretty sure we can win it. Actually,
what if actually Aiki all kills Korea? What happens then?
It would have been so sick. Then he actually has to take StarCraft seriously, because that kid he's so fucking good at the game, but he doesn't practice, and I don't think he would have been able to all-kill you guys without me and Snoot, like helping him with practice and telling him what to do. But if he actually took the game seriously, he would have definitely been one of the top foreigner Protosses, and maybe like a contender for one of the best players ever. Because he's super fast, he's smart, but he's just way too lazy.
Yeah, I wanted to actually say good things about Aiki now, because even though he all-killed Poland, I am the loser, right, versus Ike as well. But I want to say he played very, very well, very, very smart, and I'm not even sad that I lost to him because he prepared. In the game that he played were very, very good, very prepared, and I'm happy that he got to win and show himself off. Yeah, and he looks like a nice kid, so.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of young talent over there in Europe, man. Some of these kids like
And they're all
Cyril
Protoss.
and yeah,
Fun.
Shaq or however you say
All right,
him. And,
Shaq. Yeah.
yeah. Well, Protoss is kid friendly, I guess. Any other thoughts on Nation Wars before we jump to the next topic?
Should it be crowdfunded as well, or should it be prize pool from a sponsorship, or like maybe combined? I wouldn't mind having crowdfunded again, but I think it just requires so much money to create an event like that.
Yeah.
And should it be all offline or just like here top 4 online offline?
Well, if you're crowdfunding, I mean, you need to raise a lot to have more than 4 teams, right? That's 4 teams already is ridiculously expensive.
Yeah, but how much money did they raise? Like 160,000 euro?
Yeah,
something like that.
I think only like 10,000 euro went to people's travel and hotel. And we stayed at a really expensive hotel, and there were also players coming in from Mexico, which is quite expensive.
Yeah.
So I also think like they could have done a lot of stuff more efficient. They have so many people working for them, and most of the time they don't do shit. But of course they have to pay them. I also heard that they had to put out a lot of money for the venue, which is like their biggest problem, I think, since it's hard to get that amount of money for a prize pool, and you can't guarantee a huge viewership always because you never know. But I think they did a very good job, and also I would love it if it was like crowdfunded for a prize pool, and then like maybe a sponsor paid for the venue, and they did a ton of job or a good job hyping up the sponsor and so on. I think that would be super, super awesome, especially if like all the money or most of the money went to a prize pool, because this time they raised 160,000 euro, as I said, and how much went to the prize pool?
I
maybe
think like
20?
at least like for the first place it was like $15,000, which is I think is fine for 3 people.
Yeah, it's fine,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying that if the like
Could be more, right?
Yeah, it could be way more, and it could be interesting to do it like Dota did with the international. Like maybe 1/3 of the crowdfunding went into that, and then if you have like a sponsor that guarantees your venue, I think it would make sense for them to get a sponsor now, because I mean people see how big that event is, how many people watched it, how good of a job they did. So I'm sure that there has to be some sponsors that want to do something with them, and also I think that viewers maybe have a bigger incentive to fund a tournament if they know that they can raise the prize pool to something. Like they can give their players kind of like their favorite players a reward or something like that, and they're also able to get something back. Like I think if they donated some money, they get some T-shirts and stuff. Also, people came to also the people that were in the crowd. They also funded the tournament with their tickets and so on. They also got some stuff like balloons and stuff, which was a little bit annoying. But yeah, I really, really hope there will be a 3rd edition of the Nation Wars, and I would love for it to be in Paris again. Maybe a bigger venue, as Mana said, because there's so many people, and O Gaming, they're really, really big in France. So I guess that, or I assume that they can get in even more people.
I think that the tournament overall is like super refreshing. It's the first tournament that really reminded me of that first WCS season in 2012, where it was like there's like all this national pride and excitement, and it doesn't necessarily have to have the very best players in the world. Like there's no Koreans here, but it's still a great event. It doesn't have anything to do with WCS points. It's the community did it instead of an esports company. So it was like really refreshing. I really do hope to see more of it. It's totally a cool event. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and jump into our last few tournaments to have a little chat about. First off, the G3 tournament that just happened, the one that had some streaming problems and whatnot, but we had a foreign Terran win it. What's the deal with that?
Like as for me as a Liquid player, we've been cheering very very loudly on the Liquid chat for Bunny.
Yeah,
And
I bet.
it's been just an incredible event for Liquid, especially because like a few days before, even two Liquid players qualified for a Hong Kong tournament or something like that. Snoot and Bunny, both of them, and now we had Snoot and Bunny in the semifinals of a tournament, and we had a team. I think it was Bunny versus TLO, right, in the quarterfinals, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's
think
even
so, yeah.
free. For Liquid, it's great, and I'm even more happy for Bunny because he's been looking for a tournament win or even just a deep tournament run, and then he wins versus Hyun in the finals quite convincingly as well, and that was just super tournament to watch him play, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah, Bunny is good, man. You're really, really good.
And especially because he's been practicing TVC so much, so much, because he had to play Sax 3 in the Challenger League, and he was losing to 0, I believe, then to come back 3-2, which is just incredible.
Yeah, that kid is really starting to perform, and everyone was talking about how good he was before as well, just not shown it as much in the tournament. So, big congrats to him. Any other thoughts on that tournament? I actually didn't end up watching too much of it. So
I was playing a PVC on ladder, and I lost horribly. I'm like, okay, I guess MC versus Hyun is coming up next. I want to see how to play PVC. And Hyun stomps MC so hard. I'm like, what do I do now? How do I play? Yeah, that's my thought about this tournament. Besides Bunny winning.
Okay. Anything to add to that, Targa?
I had to.
Well, I was a little bit sad that Bunny beat Snoot because I quite enjoy watching Snoot Hyun finals. But yeah, I'm happy that another foreigner, or especially a foreigner Terran, is doing well again. We saw Daishi did well in Home Story Cup and some other tournaments as well. So yeah, I'm just happy that foreigners are destroying Koreans at the moment.
Pretty awesome to see. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about real quick the Pro League finals. The finals for the entire season is this Saturday. It comes down to just one match, and I just linked you guys if you want to take a look real quick at what that matchup looks like. So, who do you guys think is going to win? Let's actually go down for both of you. Just say the player on each side that you think is going to win.
Okay, Targa starts.
Okay, Soki against Stats on Outboxer. Since it's Outboxer, I'm gonna say Soki wins. That map is so good for Zerg.
Okay.
Should I just go?
Yeah, take all of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Parting Flash, I have no idea. I'm guessing Parting wins because he's Protoss. Rain against Zest, no idea. Maybe Rain wins. And Dark Action. All the Koreans are saying that Dark is one of the best Zergs in the world.
Dude, Dark is one of the best Zergs in the world. There's no fucking question. Like, that kid is insane.
I haven't actually watched him play. I think I watched Action play last week. I'm not sure how good he is. But if Dark wins, then it's 4-0 and SKT wins, right?
Yeah, are you going? Are you saying a 4-0? I want to hear it.
Yeah, I actually think it's a 4-0.
Okay,
sick. I love this prediction. Man, on your turn, go.
Okay. Soki Stats. I've seen Stats play, and I've seen Soki play as well, and I think Stats has a pretty good chance of winning, but as you say, Outboxer is a pretty good map for Zerg, and I would go for Soki here as well. Parting Flash, and this is a merry-go-round. I'm actually wondering why Parting really wants to go on merry-go-round, or maybe they thought it's a good way to put
he's
a
all in there. I promise you he's going to do some crazy fucking all in there.
Or maybe he's going to be defensive, because merry-go-round is not so bad for SCV pool as well versus Protoss. I'm actually going with Flash. I'm going with Flash here on merry-go-round, so it's 1-1. Rain versus Zest. This is my two favorite Protosses. And I cannot predict the winner here. I love Rain because I feel like we have the exact same playstyles, but he's like 10 times better than me or even more. But I'll go with Zest here because he's been very, very stable. But recently he's been losing just a little bit, but still he's a champion. So I'm going with Zest, so it's 2-1. Then Dark is winning versus Action. Dark because I just know more about him than about Action. It's just the first time I see Action. So it's 2-2. Then I go Sue versus Sleep. I'm gonna say Sue. He's a GSL finalist 3 times in a row, I believe. So he's just like, because of the name. I don't know exactly how the matchup is going to work out. So it's 3-2. And then Classic versus Ty. I don't know the map. Cracks Frost. I don't know the map, so I cannot really
It's
say.
Frost.
Oh, it's Frost. Oh, it's actual normal Frost. Okay.
Yeah. I'm like
So it's a good
99%
map.
sure.
Okay, so it's a good map for PvT. Overall, I think it's been just the best map overall. Like from the overall map pool since the very beginning, it's been the best map. And Ty has been a little bit disappointing when I saw his PvT, like the middle game into late game. Like he's been looking very great, but then some engagements he got very, very sloppy. But so does Classic sometimes, very sloppy engagements, but he wins them anyway. I'm gonna say Classic there, and therefore SKT wins 4-2.
Okay.
But I wouldn't mind Ty winning it and having an ace match. But I'm gonna say 4-2.
Well, I mean, that would be an amazing. That
Yeah.
would be an amazing finals. But I'm actually siding more with Targa here. I think Sulky is going to take out stats. I think Flash is going to kill Parting because they should know that an all-in is going to be coming out of Parting. Because I think in a straight-up macro game on Merry-Go-Round, Flash is going to beat Parting like every day of the week. And then Zest versus Rain. I think Zest was the best PvPer in the world like a month and a half ago, but Rain is the best again at it. So I'll take him, and then I'll take Dark and Sue. Like, I think it's going to be a 4-1 probably.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the SKT lineup, it's so sick. Like, there's no
It's so
weakling.
stupid. No, I know. They're like, these are like 6 of the best like 10 players in the world or something. SK is so broken. God. Okay. I guess we can skip right past that, and let's talk about the WCS EU groups real quick. And basically, I don't like to spend too long on these because then it's just like it becomes a prediction episode or something. But I have a few questions for each here. I'll link you guys so you can take a look at what the groups are for this. And basically, okay, so these are the things I want to know. What is your group of death? Who is your dark horse in the tournament overall? Who do you predict will actually end up taking the tournament down? And who do you predict is going to underperform and be a disappointment? Like,
Targa?
you know this guy should do better, but he just kind of bombs and is like, ah, shit.
Group of
It's a
death.
group of death. Go for it, Terran.
I think group C is the obvious group of death. Showtime is very good, and then there's 3 good Koreans. I think yeah, that has to be the group of death, and group E is the second group of death, I'm guessing. Vortex, Harstem, Jakchi, Cass. Vortex is absolutely ridiculous. He's so good. I'm not sure how good Harstem is at the moment, but he's practicing hard. And Jakchi and Cass, they're 2 monster Terrans. So that group is going to be very entertaining.
But would
Do you
just
think
say
that
B?
group is even stronger than B?
Yeah, I wanted to say B is, I think, stronger than E.
No, I think E is stronger than B. Stardust is not doing that well at the moment. Maybe if he starts practicing a lot. And there's 2 Zergs. I think Mini Racer is much weaker, obviously, than Snoot. I think they're like the obvious. Okay, actually, when I'm thinking about it, maybe it's a bit hard.
Because
bit of a
I think
harder group.
Stardust Snoot Patience is like equal to, I mean, not equal, but it's like similar than Vortex, Hearthstone, Jakchi, and Mini Razor is like Cass.
No, Cass is very good at the moment, man.
Okay.
At least I think so.
Okay. It's different. I don't know.
Oh yeah. It's so hard to tell. Like, okay, those 3 groups are really, really hard. Much harder than the others. And I'm not sure, like, I think in Group B, like, all of them can... Actually, in all of those groups, I think every player can advance. Like, even Mini Racer, if he's very, very lucky, or if he's, like, secretly practicing a ton of CVP, he can still advance in that group. So it's going to be fun to see.
Cool. Group of death for you, man?
I would say Group C as well. Like, Showtime is like, of course, by looking at the results, he's like the worst in the group, but it's still a very strong group because of the 3 Koreans. And I think he's a good player as well. He hasn't been showing like any particular weakness in his play. He looked solid. And then, yeah, I have to agree. Group E and B, they're very equal. But overall, Group C is the def one.
Okay. Right, and how about the dark horse of this tournament, Targa? Who is that?
Okay, who is the dark horse? Actually, I'm gonna say Daishi because of the recent patch, and if Daishi practices, he's gonna go very far in this tournament, I think.
Okay. What about you, Mana?
I think the dark horse is Patience. He's been playing
okay.
very well recently. He had been like a little bit disappointing after his DreamHack Winter run, but recently he's been very strong and winning versus good players. I think he's a dark horse.
Okay. I have to go with my man Cyril, man. I'm waiting for this kid to just bust out so strongly.
He has only one ZVT though. I don't think his CVP is that strong, in my opinion at least.
He can do it. I've played PvZ. It's hard. He can do it. Okay. Who is your overall winner?
MC.
MC?
Yeah.
That's a safe choice. How about you, Mana?
I have a feeling MMA is going to take it, but I'm looking at Sun, and he's been like as soon as he goes to the offline stage, he's close to unstoppable.
He's a killer, man.
Sun. I'm going Sun.
I
Don't
want
curse
to
them,
see
man.
the repeat of Stardust. I do. I
You
really
think?
like Stardust play like more recently, even though I know, yeah, the last couple maybe hasn't done as well, but I'm gonna go with Stardust. Fuck it, it's his tournament. All right, and how about your disappointment? Who is going to disappoint?
I really hope Sun disappoints. But I think 4GG will disappoint because I think he's in Korea. I'm not sure if he's coming back. If he's coming back to Europe, then he won't disappoint. But if he's in Korea, I think he will disappoint.
Okay.
I think Jackji will disappoint.
Oh,
He
really?
hasn't been that strong lately. He felt unstoppable for me. Like I couldn't even win a map against him, and even on ladder and so on. And I think he will be the disappointment because we don't expect much from players like, let's say, Cross and so on. We cannot say he's going to be a disappointment. He can only surprise us positively, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say Chakji. He will be a disappointment. As much as I like him, he's a great person.
Okay. My disappointment is Daishi because he didn't show up to meta.
Solid pick.
A solid pick, I think. Okay. On to the Code S. We'll do the exact same questions with that. Here is a link to the groups for you guys. And where did I put that? Okay, so group of death. I think this is actually really hard to answer correctly. Targa, who do you think is a group of death here?
All of them. There's not a single one that stands. Yeah, there's not a single one that stands out. To be honest, they're all very
put a gun
even.
in your mouth, what would you say?
Come on, there's one group of death. Come on.
Group A.
I think there's 3 groups here that you can argue strongly as the death, personally.
Really? Okay, I still think it has to be Group A. Effort and Shine. Maybe not Shine, but Effort is really good. Classic good. SOS good. Other groups, I'm not sure, man. Group E is also, there's also like 3 really strong players.
Yeah. Group E is insane, if you ask me. It's like the world's 2 best Protoss and like someone who has pretty consistently been one of the world's best Zergs as well. It's like
What about G? Come on, guys. For me, it's like the obvious group of death here. It's like we have True. He's been doing so
good. In good enough shape to really call that group of death, though?
I think so. Like, I've seen his wait, where did he play? I think it was a Red Bull qualifier, something like that, and he did very well. But I think he played versus, I think Bial, something like that, and he got like a little bit unlucky in the games. What happened? But he played very solid, and parting through TYT, I think they're like all in a equal, very high level. Like on the other groups, where you said Group E, Zest and Range, sure, they're like the top level players. But then Hurricane and Rogue, sure, they're great, but they don't stand out to the level of Zest and Rain.
You don't think Rogue is like fucking top tier, like top tier.
He is top tier.
He's insane, man. He's
Maybe
like
I just didn't see him play in a long time.
I was putting him second Zerg in the world to Soul Key for a long time this year. Maybe not right this second, but like
Yeah,
is
yeah.
so
Some time ago, yeah, he played very, very solid, very, very well. Was it? I think like IEM qualifier, something like that. IEM
yeah,
Katowice,
yeah.
right?
He's
I think.
crushed, like beat Sulky in the
Yeah.
finals and stuff. It
Yeah,
was
it
so
was
insane.
yeah. Yeah, I think for me at least, Group G is the group of death.
Okay. Okay. So an A, an E, and a G. It's pretty good. Who's your dark horse, Targa?
Any of the Protosses?
Not
Bianchi.
Hush though, right?
I have no idea who Hush is, so I'm not too confident in him.
He could be a dark horse then, if you don't know him.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Yeah, Hush is my dark horse.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Trust.
Trust? Wow.
Trust. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna say Dark. I think Dark is gonna get hella deep.
He's a yes, Trust and Dark. Yeah, I forgot about this guy. Yeah, Dark could be a dark horse.
Dark is my worst.
Ooh.
Unless you could count Effort, because I think Effort's gonna like do really well in this tournament. I have
Hopefully.
like the utmost faith in that guy. Okay. And how about who is your winner of this season? A ridiculous question to ask out of these 32 players right now in the round of 32.
Hmm.
For a tournament that doesn't end till October, tell me who's gonna win this.
I'm actually willing to say it's going to be Dark. I'm willing to say that.
Really?
But there's so many good players that it's impossible to like be sure that you're right. I want to see a story. I want to see Dark win. I'm saying Dark.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a lot of
He's
faith
not your
in my
dark
man.
horse.
Hush.
He's gonna win, but he's not your dark horse. Okay, man. Targa, who's gonna win?
I have
Hey,
a lot of
just
faith
have
in
a
my man
story.
Hush, as I said. I think Classic or SOS will win.
Okay, I mean that's a pretty fair guess, I guess. This is a hard one.
Arthas, who's not going to win? Tell us.
I'll tell you who is gonna win.
No.
Say
God,
Flash.
I don't know. I'm kind of like I keep on looking down towards Rain. I could see Rain taking it, man. I think Rain is just tip top right now.
Please
He's
let me
looking so
learn
good.
from him, Arthas. Please.
Oh God, all I do is copy Rain and Zest, man. That's okay. And who is the disappointment? Who is just not gonna pull it out this season?
Stork.
Don't
Oh, okay. Wow. So I guess both you think Sue is going to advance, and one of you think that DRG is, the other one thinks Stork is. Is that how this is going?
I think Trust and Stork.
Oh, because they're Protoss.
No, because they're fucking good. And I think
Sue has how many second places in a row now?
Yeah, I don't like his CVP. I think it's very easy to stop it, like stop his playstyle. But it depends how much preparation the Protoss players do. But I'm guessing Sue and Trust will advance, and yeah, maybe Dongrigu and Stork will disappoint people.
Okay. And Manny, you basically agree with
I
that?
say Stork because I don't want him to disappoint. I just want to pick a person who's good, who can do well in a tournament, but someone has to disappoint, if you ask me, right?
Yeah.
So
Totally.
I
No,
just
these are people we want to do well, but aren't going to. That's like what this question is. Okay. For me, it's Flash. I think he's out in the round of 32 for sure. I do not think he's going to get out of that group. I think Dark is going to pummel him, and he's not going to get through whoever's left over. Like, I think Solar's way too good right now.
They're such a beast.
Yeah.
And Flash is there, yeah. So he could not advance. I agree with you.
Yeah. So that's it. All right. So that's everything I have written down on our little sheet. Anything else you guys want to go over before we wrap this up?
Nope.
Nothing I can think of particularly. I think it was
All
cool
right.
to talk about the strategies and so on. It was rather insightful. I liked it.
That was awesome. That was one of the best strategy sections we ever had. I'm actually really glad that Daishi no-showed on this. Maybe I got to do it with just Protosses and Zergs from now on, man. God. All right, let's do some shout-outs. Targa, why don't you do your shout-outs?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me on your show, and thank you to Mana for the awesome discussion. And yeah, big shout out to my team, Imaginary Gaming, and everyone who watched this show. Thank you all.
Right, and Mana?
Yeah, thanks for inviting us. It was a great spending time together. I think it was good discussion. I want to give a big shout out to the French crowd at Nation Wars again, because it's been such an amazing event and they deserve the shout outs. I really wish they will get some event like ESWC or anything in France so we could travel there and see the awesome French crowd. And of course, shout out to my team, Team Liquid, and main sponsor HyperX for supporting me all the time. And thanks for having me.
Oh. And for me, thank you so much to you guys for coming on. This has been actually one of my favorite episodes of Meta ever. It was really actually a lot of fun. And of course, Simpatico for running the show and all that stuff. And thank you guys for watching. Make sure you check out scdojo.com. We're putting as much content on there as possible. All StarCraft stuff, none of the drama garbage. So for people who actually like the game, which I guess are the same people who probably watch the show. So thanks for watching, guys, and we will be back next week. I am going to Taiwan in like 2 days, and there's GSL Code S tomorrow. So Taiwan Open after Code S. Anyways, please watch those, and Meta will be same time, same place next week. So see you then.